3 years, I knew that I had leukemia. I had self-diagnosed myself due to the symptoms I was having and what I was able to pull out without going and getting tested for things. I spent a lot of that time saying goodbye to people and preparing to not be here anymore. At the time, I was working a decent job and making decent money, but it didn't offer insurance, so I was afraid to try to go into treatment. After a bunch of stuff happened and I ended up going to a different place, I made it to where I could get insurance, and as soon as that insurance came in, I went to a doctor for a checkup, and they called me that day and told me to go to the ER. The doctor continued to tell me what he suspected I had, and I told him, okay. I figured. So what do you mean? Said, well, I kind of knew, but I came in for an honest opinion, so I didn't want to say nothing. And sure enough, right? So, due to the fact that I dealt with what I had for 3 years, diagnosis wasn't such a shock to where it put me in a really bad place. And I was able to manage most of my treatment, like going into treatment mentally, physically, all that. I stayed pretty physically active. I walked a lot. I kept myself moving. I was constantly busy. I did what I could. So when treatment started, I was healthy. And on my first month stay at CRMC in Fresno, the first 2 weeks of treatment, I gave into treatment and stopped doing everything I was doing, and I just did what the doctors were telling me to do. And I was dying. I was sick. I wasn't getting up in my room. I wasn't really around. I was starting to get into depression and have really morbid dreams of death, myself dying and just being picked apart, and all these random psychological things that were happening due to what I was going through. I hadn't tried cannabis because I wanted to give it, a chance to do the treatment. But I always had edibles and things with me just in case. And I decided one night after sitting there dying to drink a cannabis drink. The next morning, I woke up feeling better, feeling myself, got up, started walking, was able to eat, was able to think clearly, was able to get through all the side effects of the treatment that I was going through. So I continued. And my doctors in Fresno couldn't tell me, use cannabis, right? But they just kept telling me, do whatever you're doing. It's working great for you, do whatever you're doing. I just couldn't smoke it because it would cause an infection of some sort in my lungs or whatever at that point. I couldn't use it because of, pollens and bacteria and things that would ultimately kill me. But when I got to UCSF, it was a different place, right? And they let me know, use as much as I want, just don't smoke it. And I did, and it helped me get through everything that I went through. And on that note, cancer is a cure for many things, many ailments, and it saved my life. But it wasn't what cured me. I had to go through chemo. I had to do all these things. I tried the RSO. I tried all these things because, like I said, I self-diagnosed myself 3 years prior to going into treatment and diagnosis, and you best believe I was using cannabis, and it didn't cure me. It helped me get through and maintain, but at the same stretch of the length, it didn't cure me. So I'm thankful for it. I'm an advocate for it, but I'm also realistic about it. I wasn't delusional. I used it for what it helped me for. And I'm thankful to the people that aren't here anymore that contributed to As soon as I got out of the hospital, I picked up my paintbrush, a pencil. I started sketching again, anything I could to get my mind right, my body right, my coordination right, get back to painting, get back to the feeling of who I am. And with art being my rehabilitation, I was able to really rebuild myself in a way that I didn't think possible, and feel my way through a lot of the pain and the struggles by just painting, by just getting it out. I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't really do much other than paint and express what I was going through that way. And that became my outlet and my patience. Art helped me relearn who I am, where I come from. My mother was an artist. And so was my brother. And I was an artist early on. Loved to sculpt, write poetry, be creative, whatever it was. I had a wild imagination, or a vivid remember of past lives and different things that most people don't believe in anyways. I was always a different person, and learning to be someone else, rising from the ashes, is where this story evolved and became real. So follow me on this journey as I continue to turn pain into purpose. And if it helps you in any way, I am more grateful knowing that I'm still here, and that everything I went through was for something other than myself. Life has a way of teaching us what matters most. And when it comes down to it, that human connection that we all share is what kept me alive, even when I was secluded in a bubble. That connection to source, that connection to spirit, that connection to nature, that connection to myself, it never went away. So like, subscribe, comment. Let's build a network, a community of humanity, of people that need healing and wellness. That's what Alchemize the Fight is. Alchemize my life. It's transmuting all the pain, all the suffering, everything we've been through, the adversity that was meant to break us, changing that into strength, into hope, into life and living. And get out of survival mode and get back into life and living, even if it's the first time ever. We're on a path, on a journey, and this journey has just begun. Let's go.